This is Otaku Station, broadcasting anime analysis to anyone who will listen. We have a basement archive full of an ever-growing collection of anime media. We dig deep into the great anime of the past to give you the context you need to fully appreciate the best this medium has to offer. Let's jam. Welcome to the broadcast. I hope you're having a good day wherever you happen to be right now. This is Otaku Station, where today we'll be talking about the third episode of Princess Tutu. Good news, everything's fixed from the hack. Bad news, Richard, the traveling storyteller, will be going on his way shortly. I'll have a little bit of a send-off for him. Meanwhile, let's head to the research room to look at the animation of Princess Tutu. All right, let's talk the animation of Princess Tutu. A few things I want to call out here. First, there's actually a lot of movement in Princess Tutu, a lot of frames of animation. Now, this is helped by the relatively simple character designs, particularly when the girls are in their leotards, very few lines on their bodies, relatively speaking. And this helps the animators because they're not having to constantly fiddle with complicated character designs. They can just kind of draw and get from drawing to drawing to drawing. Smart, right? This is what a character designer is for, is to figure out what is and is not important. And by going with these simplified character designs, they can worry less about that. That said, there's a lot of ballet movement in here, and that's hard. There's a lot of rotating bodies, and having to think about how the character should look at every individual angle as a body is rotating, that's difficult. So kudos to them on that, particularly during the magical girl fights, where Tutu's design is much more complicated than Duck's leotard or even her school uniform, which is relatively monochrome. And there's a lot going on here with this design. You have the frills on the side, the poofs on the arms, and you got to animate those, right? You got to figure out, as she's swinging her arms, what's that poof going to look like? So, again, kudos to them there. This is not an easy anime to animate with all the movement in it. Now, they do take advantage of a few tricks. The classic magical girl transformation sequence is in here, which they reuse. And again, I think that's very appropriate because it's helpful to realize that Duck is now shifting into Tutu mode, so to speak. And so we're getting into a different kind of mood for the show when that transformation happens. It's effective. Now, finally, I do want to talk about the overall color scheme of Princess Tutu. It tends towards light pastel colors, a very soft color scheme in general, even when we're not in the magical girl environments, even when we're in the real world, whatever. It has this very soft color palette, which helps to make this feel more like a dream world, a little more dreamlike, particularly when we see Muto for the first time. There's no color here at all, and it's also just this very soft color palette, very dreamlike as he's dancing. And again, it's very effective at evoking the mood and themes of the show just in the colors that were chosen. So kudos to the staff. Very impressive. Welcome back. I hope you found that useful. Quick update, Richard has left. I traded him a manga for a book of mythology, a book of myths that he found. Man, it was good to have him here. Anyway, before I get John and Steve on, a few things to watch out for in this third episode. How we learn more about what's going on, potentially, with the world and the setting. But also the use of a fairy tale-like story as the main conflict, making this a bit more of a standalone episode. See how that structure kind of changes things. So yeah, let's get John and Steve on and analyze episode 3. All right, I think we are back online. It is time to get to Princess Tutu 3. That's a weird way of putting it. You guys ready to go?
Absolutely.
All set.
Here we go.
Bring on the weirdness.
Mm-hmm. It changed.
Yes, it did.
Mm-hmm. So the story exists in the world of the story they're in.
Right.
Presumably. If they're in the story. But, yeah. Now, we have to ask a question. Who's that?
The
Drosselmeyer's
ghost of
dead.
Christmas Past.
He calls himself Drosselmeyer,
Ooh.
but how could he be Drosselmeyer? Right?
And he's helping Duck, which is thus helping Duck help Muto.
Mm-hmm.
And if she gives the heart back to Muto, then the raven gets unsealed.
Maybe.
Ha ha. So maybe he's the raven, or some embodiment that owes a debt to the raven, or something weird. And it's like, yes, master, I will collect the heart and you will be free. I'm also surprised Duck, when they're walking away, they gave her another book.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't say, can I see the book? Can I have the storybook? Give me the storybook. To read forward of
You'd think
her
that'd be
story
nice.
to see.
Yeah.
Well, when Muto was meeting with Rue, Muto always has had a very pale cast.
Mm.
He had more flesh tone
You're right.
this time around. So, like,
Yeah.
we saw that sort of explanation of her, like, giving the shard, and he's almost all white, and he sits up, and he suddenly fleshes out.
Mm-hmm.
He's now a different flesh tone.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So D being the feminine, Alta being old, the old person, old woman, involved in the woods. Interesting.
Could that be the woman with the thing?
Oh, the hurdy-gurdy lady, or whatever
Right.
it was,
Yeah.
the little playing machine.
A beautiful but poor servant girl was traveling with a family she worked for when robbers attacked them. She hid behind a tree and no one else survived. She lamented her fate, and a dove came to her with a golden key. He told her to unlock a tree. She found food there. In the evening, he brought her to a tree with a bed. She lived like this for many days. When the dove asked her to do something, she agreed. He told her to go to a house and go in. An old woman would greet her, but she should not answer. She should open an inner door, which will reveal a room full of splendid rings, but she should take a plain one. The girl did this. The old woman was quite angry, but the girl did not heed her. Then, when she could not see the plain ring, she saw the old woman trying to carry off a bird cage. She took it away from her. It held a bird which held a ring in its beak, so she took it outside and waited against a tree. Two branches turned into arms about her as a tree turned into a handsome man who kissed her. He told her the old woman was a witch who had turned him into a tree, and for 2 hours a day he became a dove, and she had freed him. All his attendants turned back from trees to humans as well. With the prince being the king's son, they went to his father's kingdom and got married. Didn't we see something about a golden crown? Wasn't that part of something in this story already? Or am I thinking of something else?
I don't know.
Does he wear a crown when he's the prince? And
Maybe
No,
he
but
does.
she wears a crown.
True, yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
And in the story that we just saw referenced, the old woman in the woods, it talks about the tree becoming the prince that goes to the king.
True, yeah.
So this could be that, sort of
Yeah.
a hey reference.
Possible. Why is that the only tree in flower?
Because it's blooming because of their love.
Must be. Note that they're milky now. It used to be like a consistent shade, but now they're shifting.
That's what we're learning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're starting to understand that.
Also note that was music from Carmen. And think about the plot of Carmen there.
It's how she's gonna dance her way out of this one.
Yeah.
It's like this doesn't. It's not a dance competition. It's a ladies' restaurant. So how's this gonna go? Morbid obesity. That's still lonely. Here are the recipes of something you died that you loved with all your heart. And it's like, I kind of get, it's, oh, but you'll overcome that by cooking these foods. It's like, oh, that's still so sad, though.
Yeah. I would argue, though, the point is she has not processed his death.
Yeah.
Oh, she's in denial hard, kind of feels like,
Yeah. So she needs to feel those emotions now, so she can go. It's also interesting that to that point, kind of psychologically, losing loneliness makes her feel lonely. Is something that she said. Point being, she is holding on to the fact that she is alone, and that is what's making her lonely. If she lets go of that emotion and says, "Okay, now I'm gonna, live my life," I'll still feel sad. I'll still feel all those emotions and so forth. But I'm not locked into the fact that,
Right.
you know, this is all I have.
Right.
Why does he want? Why did he suddenly want to be with her? Why this now?
Yeah.
Maybe he feels lonely, and she's there, and she says kind things to him, so he's feeling these emotions again because he's getting his emotions.
Yeah,
back.
yeah. He now actually feels loneliness. That's kind of
And
interesting.
the color of his eyes has changed again, so it's
True.
not that sort of rippling kind of milkiness. It's more of a uniform color.
Yep.
Her pendant, it's starting to make me wonder whether that's the final piece.
Right.
And if she loses the pendant, what does that mean for the girl known as Duck?
Mm-hmm.
You know, does she have to give up her existence to restore his heart fully?
What did she say?
Like Little Mermaid.
Yep.
So, but here's the thing, and I know it's going to get better with different emotions, but right now it just seems like every single emotion is a really negative emotion. So if it's so we're giving these back to the prince, and it's just kind of like going, okay, are we what are we going to turn into once we get all the pieces?
You're absolutely right. And isn't it the most kind emotions that we hold closest to ourselves? Right? Isn't it the most tender emotions that we hold closer to ourselves? So is she collecting the outermost emotions and then getting closer and closer to the center?
Right.
Well, she collects all these negatives. He's going to end up an emo boy before she actually starts getting into the good guy.
It's an interesting point. Like, you know, he's going to start getting. I think you're absolutely right. Like, he's going to start feeling bad emotions before he starts feeling good ones, which is also how it works.
Yeah.
He's feeling something.
Yep.
But yeah, it's going to be kind of weird to be like, sorry, dude, don't mean to unload the dump truck worth of bad on you while you're straightening your stuff out. But
yeah, he feels rejection and loneliness now. Great.
Yeah. He's going to be sitting in the park under the tree going, oh, the ennui. Oh, he's a theater kid. Move along, son. Move along.
They're all theater kids.
Yeah.
Interesting, though, seeing the connection between Fakir and Rue. That they seem to have something going on between them.
Yeah.
It seems like they have an idea. They have shared knowledge, maybe not shared sides, but shared knowledge of. Because when he said that, he has a feeling, she immediately reacted to that. It was like, what? You know, and it was not that's good. It was kind of like, oh crap. All right.
Yeah. So what do you guys think is going to happen once he gets his heart back? Or specifically related to, like, you know, what do you think Fakir's scared of there?
I think the Raven. I think he's afraid of releasing the Raven, and that's what he has a feeling. It's like their shared moment of like, oh crap, we've been kind of isolating him from, you know, these kinds of things. If Rue is the girlfriend, she can monitor him, while Fakir is monitoring him when he's not in school.
Yep.
And it's like they're the gatekeepers trying to make sure this world keeps existing. Once Muto gets all of his heart back, that, to me, it seems like, okay, that's where we're going to get the boss battle. So they're not able to interfere enough with Tutu to keep her from getting his heart back. He gets the heart back. He's fully vested in his powers.
Yeah.
The Raven comes back, and now you have the end of the story is their, giant climactic battle. I think.
But then, how would we explain the dance battle?
Yeah.
Well, it will be a giant dance battle.
Well, when Rue chose Duck,
right?
When the Anteater girl chose Muto, and you know, because there wouldn't be anything dangerous in that. And if I were Rue looking at this, it would be like, oh well, you know, even though this Anteater girl's got part of Muto's heart, it doesn't look like there's anything to worry about.
Yeah.
So why did she pick of all the people that she could have danced with? Why did she pick Duck?
Yeah.
Does she know something about Duck?
I think it's probably more hold your friends closer, your enemies closer.
Okay.
Maybe.
So Rue is kind of, trying to slightly orbit Duck to get a bead on her. We don't know that she necessarily can detect that Duck is Tutu.
Right.
But Duck is constantly kind of in places that Muto is around. So she is on the radar. So Rue's kind of feeling out where, like, what is Duck? What's the agenda? Fakir is just more the stand next to him, gatekeeper, but like, go away, get. Rue's more of like seems like more of a tactical maneuver. Like, what am I working with, and what's going on?
It's also go ahead.
I was saying maybe.
Yeah. It's also kind of weird how denigrating Fakir is. Like actively calling him an idiot and stupid and so forth. It seems to go beyond anything just like, just stop. There's some like hatred there. It's weird.
Do we think he might be resentful of being a gatekeeper?
Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah.
This is a never-ending task. As long as Muto doesn't get his heart, Fakir will never get done protecting him.
Yeah.
So he sacrifices any potential he would have in the story to stop the bad thing from happening. It's like, that's a rough position to be in.
Yeah. Possible.
Or are these two actual emotions of Muto, and they don't want to go back? Like, they actively know what this is, and they're just like, we don't want to do that, so the best way to do it, John, to your point, or keep your friends closer, keep Muto closer, you keep an eye on him so he doesn't reach them in that way, or they don't get reached in that way.
Is this the shard of protectiveness and the shard of love or something?
Ooh,
right.
Could be.
Right,
But how would they get past Duck's radar?
Good question.
Unless they're practiced at what they do. So like the people that Duck detects, it's the shard sort of driving things, and they're not really that aware of it. So maybe this is what happens when you have shards that are deeply embedded and they're aware of it.
Yeah, true.
And they're guarding it.
Good point.
Which could also make great sense if they are guardians to him. Each of you has the last two pieces.
Yeah.
You must guard him and these pieces with your lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So, now that we're 3 episodes in, how would you contrast your impression of Princess Tutu now versus when we started?
Well, the story has definitely coalesced for me.
Yeah.
So this we were kind of talking about this a little while ago. That for me, the 3 episode thing of let's see what happens before we go.
Yep.
And it's gotten to that point. Like the first episode, I was just it was very hard because I was just like, nothing is making sense whatsoever. So, but you have to kind of bull through that. And now we have the structure of the plot and going forward, and now our questions are more pointed, and discovery is more desired for to try and figure out what the heck's going on. So I don't know about 26 episodes, but it's definitely on track for me. I think is what I'm trying to say. Is that we're in a place now that I can be like, okay, I have some semblance of an idea of a concept of a riddle wrapped in an enigma, and trying to figure out what this is going on. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I will say that it is very, very thought provoking.
Now that I understand the journey for getting the shards better and then things sort of lock into place more, I'm enjoying the other things surrounding that kind of central concept. So I'm enjoying the Hansel and Gretel references, the Swan Lake and Nutcracker and all these other classical piece references where it's like I'm curious to see for 26 episodes how deep will you go in the story bin to pull out different classical works of stuff. Do you get Brothers Grimm in here? What other things are running around in this that becomes kind of a fun, find the new shard. But what classical piece of music have you referred to? Are we going to get at some point, are we going to get water music? Because there's water so frequently featured in this. Are we going to get some other, great classical poetry or books or something? How are you working that into this storyline to get through to 26 episodes? It's that's fascinating to me to see how they're piecing that together.
And one nice thing is they didn't just retell Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Right.
It's their own spin on that story. So it's not like, you see it, you're like, okay, well, I know where we'll be for the next 12 minutes,
Yeah.
Right, yeah. No, we got a woman who never blinked, and I was just like, please get off the amphetamines, please. Please. Actually, you know what? But that brings a point, actually. We don't have element of danger.
True.
So Hansel and Gretel, the story is that the witch tries to eat them.
Yeah.
Right. We don't get that. We're saying we're getting a variation of the story, but we're not seeing there's no consequence of death. Right. We're not. Those aren't the things until actually I don't even know if it's death, but it's the end of the story where she becomes a rain of life. She says that I love you to the prince, but and it's revealed that she is the tragic princess. But I mean, there's really no
You're right.
No one's gonna die.
Yeah.
But if we don't do the thing, then we can't move forward, and that's what the important thing is.
Think back to Sailor Moon. Your mother is down in the basement, and you're gonna join her, and I'm gonna kill you both.
Yeah.
Right. That's the very beginning of that show. There's none of that here.
Right.
There's a hint, which one tastes better. So you have Duck with an apprehension of something very negative going to happen.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be completely misguided. That it's not at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there was no violent intent here. It's just which dish tastes better. It's like, oh, that's a nice back down from the potential of violence by an adult against a child.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. That is a remarkably calm approach to an anime series. We're just wandering through these various fairy stories, and hopefully eventually somebody will get their heart back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's when Tutu will reach behind the rushes by the water while some beautiful music's playing and pull out the Prince is still beating hard. This went places I didn't think it would.
And now I will take his essence.
She hands it to Muto instead of it just deftly going into his jacket and just blending. You just see him going. Oh, he's eating it like an apple. Oh God.
Now you must put your heart back by opening up your chest.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's definitely the tone of this series. It's what it feels like. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that.
Surprise endings.
I mean, given all of the sort of layers of story and mythology and such going on here, it's a really goofy tone.
Yeah.
Very much a screwball comedy all the way through. And I wonder if they did that to lighten the tone, if having this, ballet story plus fairy tales and all these things going would just feel, I don't know, not heavy, but just a lot to process. And by giving us a lot of comedy, highbrow. The comedy isn't just kind of a release for all that.
If it was just mythology and very heavily into classical works, I really could see that being hard to be we want an animated piece that's good. Kids are really going to lock into.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, having Duck be a little goofier and her friends being kind of goofy gives you not only a lightness to it to keep it from feeling like, oh, this is your complete review of all the classical works.
We're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about Siegfried and how he got a woman's belt.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's a dry subject matter that having Duck be goofy, at least gives you chance for kids to be like, oh, she's so funny. Yes, there's all the other stuff going on that they can hear the music, they can kind of engage in the classics, but still get something that's like fun to watch. It's got some activity going on that will keep attention and not just become a history lecture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely agreed. Final thoughts.
I had not expected it to go this way.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, starting off, I thought it was just the Nutcracker Suite retold. And it was just like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I had no idea the breadth of references that they pull. Not 26 episodes later to be like, oh yeah, they reviewed like 10 pieces of classical works. It's like 10 pieces of classical works in like the first 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, for 3 episodes, they've already crammed a ton of classical references in your music for written works. All this, I'm like, wow, this is a labor of intense love to just get all of that cobbled together into just these 3 episodes. This isn't the completion of the thing. It's like, damn.
Yep. This is, to me, like initially going into this, I'm like going, I swear to God, if we're gonna get at the end of this and it's like just her like slowly sinking in a ocean and drowning, and this is her fever dream, right? I would have been like, because there's points when we have who we thought was the author with the snow globe thing, and I'm like going,
Rosebud,
no.
Hill Street Blues.
But it is not. I can see why people are just like, okay, you have to see this. And then when I ask, okay, great, tell me what it's about, because I see a ballerina is at the Nutcracker, and you just have to watch it, because now I understand, because they have no earthly ability to explain what this is, and this is the ride. I mean, this is one of those animes where it is the ride. You just have to ride the ride.
Mm-hmm.
You get your nickels worth, that's for sure.
Yep. Yeah, no joke.
Yeah, wow. Welcome back. I hope you found that useful. I think this is going to go through, so I went outside to check on something outside, and I'm glad I did, because I saw something in the bushes, and it was the hacker. He was fiddling with something, he saw me, pulled it out, and it was a frickin' rocket launcher. He fired it at the tower, and there's like physical damage to the tower. I don't know what's going on, but this is bad. I'm gonna call in a favor and see what I can do. In the meantime, watch out for rocket launchers and watch more anime.